Imagine walking under the scorching sun of the Judean desert, unaware that just a few meters beneath your feet, ancient secrets lay hidden, dormant for over 2,000 years. It was exactly like this that, in 1947, a young Bedouin shepherd made a discovery that would forever change our understanding of biblical history: the Dead Sea Scrolls. These scrolls, stored in clay jars and hidden in the caves of Qumran, contain some of the oldest known texts of the Hebrew Bible. But what makes these scrolls so fascinating isn't just their age. It's the fact that many of these texts don't appear in the versions of the Bible we know today. Imagine, for a moment, the impact of that. Texts considered important enough to be preserved in such a remote hiding place, but that, over the centuries, were left out of the Holy Scriptures. What do these manuscripts reveal? What led the ancient guardians to hide these writings, and who made the decision to exclude them? Among the Dead Sea Scrolls, we find not only ancient copies of the Psalms and prophecies of Isaiah, but also books like the Book of Enoch and the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs, texts that were rejected by the religious councils that shaped the biblical canon. These scrolls raise profound questions. Are we seeing the whole story? Who decided what should be included in the scriptures, and which texts were relegated to obscurity? Many believe that the Dead Sea Scrolls contain secrets that could rewrite our understanding of religion, history, and even the origins of Christianity. The discovery of the scrolls was only the beginning. Since then, archaeologists and theologians have been poring over these texts, trying to decipher their hidden meanings. In some cases, the content of these scrolls challenges established beliefs, sparking debates and controversies to this day. There are those who claim that some of these writings contain revelations that were deliberately kept secret by religious and political authorities throughout history. As more scrolls are analyzed, new questions emerge. How do these texts relate to modern religious traditions? Do they challenge current interpretations of the scriptures? Or perhaps confirm what many have long suspected, that biblical history is far more complex and nuanced than we were taught to believe? Today, the Dead Sea Scrolls remain one of the greatest archaeological and religious mysteries of all time. They remind us that the history we know may be only a part of something much larger, an incomplete puzzle that we are still trying to piece together. And you, how far are you willing to dive into these hidden mysteries? Speaking of hidden mysteries, there is no relic more enigmatic and coveted throughout the centuries than the Holy Grail. This legendary cup, supposedly used by Jesus Christ during the Last Supper, carries an unparalleled fascination, sparking the interest of kings, knights, and even modern scholars. The Holy Grail, over time, has ceased to be just a Christian symbol and has become the subject of countless legends and theories. But the question that lingers is, did it really exist? And if so, where is it now? According to some medieval legends, after Christ's crucifixion, the Grail was taken out of the Holy Land by Joseph of Arimathea. It is said that he hid the cup somewhere in Britain, where it would only be discovered by the purest and bravest of knights. This narrative inspired the famous quest for the Grail by the Knights of the Round Table, led by the legendary King Arthur. But the Grail isn't just an Arthurian legend. The search for this sacred cup intertwined with the real history of religious orders and powerful figures. During the Crusades, the Knights Templar were associated with the protection of holy relics, and many believe the Grail was among them. Some even say that before their fall, the Templars hid the cup somewhere in Europe, where it still awaits discovery. The Grail, however, has been described in many different forms. Some see it as a physical cup, while others believe it is a metaphor for something more spiritual, like the blood of Christ or even divine knowledge that could transform humanity. And over the centuries, many have claimed to have found the Holy Grail, from cathedrals in Spain to forgotten castles in the heart of France. But to this day, no one can say for certain where the true Grail is, or if it really exists. What we do know is that this relentless search for the sacred cup has shaped stories, influenced religions, and fueled imaginations. The Holy Grail has become more than just an object. It is the symbol of humanity's eternal quest for something greater, something divine and unattainable. And so, the Grail continues to provoke and challenge us to seek answers where we often find only more questions. But perhaps that is the true mystery of the Holy Grail. Not where it is, but what it represents. After all, in our quest for it, Are we truly searching for a sacred object or for something deeper within ourselves? The story of the Grail is, above all, a story of faith, power, and humanity's endless curiosity. And just like the Holy Grail, another sacred relic has sparked curiosity, fear, and fascination over the centuries: the Ark of the Covenant. Unlike the Grail, the Ark is not shrouded in so many different versions and interpretations. It has a clear description in the Holy Scriptures, a unique object of power, built under divine guidance to house the tablets of the Ten Commandments given to Moses on Mount Sinai. But the Ark of the Covenant is not just a spiritual symbol. It was, according to the Bible, a feared weapon. The Israelites carried it into battle, and wherever the Ark was present, victory was assured. It is said that the walls of Jericho fell before it, and Israel's enemies trembled at the mere mention of its approach. However, the Ark wasn't just a symbol of military might. It was the meeting point between God and man. Only the Levite priests, those chosen by God, could come near it. Even then, they had to take extreme precautions, for touching the Ark without proper preparation meant instant death. The divine presence was so powerful that no one could approach it unscathed. So, what happened to this sacred relic? According to the scriptures, the Ark was kept in Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, in the Holy of Holies, the most sacred place in all the land of Israel. But after the destruction of the temple by the Babylonians in 586 BC, the Ark vanished from history. Some believe it was taken to Babylon, others say it was hidden by the priests before the invasion, and some even claim it was taken to Ethiopia, where it is still said to be guarded in a secret church to this day. This last theory is particularly fascinating. According to an ancient Ethiopian tradition, the Ark was taken to Aksum, a holy city, where it is kept in a chapel guarded day and night by monks. No foreigner is allowed to approach, and those few who have gotten close report feeling a supernatural presence around the site. But the Ark of the Covenant is not just an ancient legend. To this day, archaeologists, adventurers, and treasure hunters continue to search for it. Jerusalem and its surroundings are constantly excavated, hoping that some trace of the Ark will be found. Stories of conspiracies and secrets intertwine with archaeological discoveries, but the Ark remains missing, fueling theories and beliefs. And perhaps, like the Grail, the Ark of the Covenant is not just about finding a physical artifact. Perhaps its true power lies in its symbolism, the direct connection between the divine and the human, something that transcends time, history, and existence itself. The search for the Ark of the Covenant is not just an archaeological journey. It is a spiritual quest, a search for divine power, justice, and truth. But will the Ark ever be found? Or will it remain hidden, waiting for the right moment to reappear and once again shape the destiny of humanity? And just as the Ark of the Covenant evokes power and mystery, there is another set of writings that remains shrouded in controversy and debate throughout the centuries: the apocryphal Gospels of Mary Magdalene. These ancient texts, which many believe were written by close followers of Mary Magdalene, offer a radically different perspective on the figure we know from the canonical Gospels. For many, Mary Magdalene is simply a faithful follower of Jesus, present at the crucial moments of his life, especially at his resurrection. But the apocryphal texts suggest something much deeper. They portray her as one of Jesus' closest disciples, perhaps even his confidant and bearer of spiritual secrets that the other disciples were not ready to understand. One of the most well-known texts is the Gospel of Mary, a manuscript discovered in the late 19th century in Egypt. In this Gospel, Mary Magdalene is depicted as someone who understood Jesus' secret teachings, something that caused discomfort and envy among the other apostles. She is seen debating with Peter and other disciples about the true nature of Christ's teachings, suggesting that she had a special wisdom that made her unique among them. But why were these texts rejected by the councils that formed the Bible's canon? Could it be that Mary Magdalene, with her deep knowledge and close connection to Jesus, represented a threat to the established hierarchy? The idea that a woman could occupy such a central role in spiritual leadership challenged the social and religious norms of the time, which may have led to the exclusion of these texts from the Holy Scriptures. The apocryphal Gospels of Mary Magdalene also touch on profound spiritual issues. They speak of a direct connection with the divine that does not require intermediaries, of an inner spirituality that transcends external rituals. This vision, very similar to Gnosticism, confronted the structures of the early church, which was beginning to organize around formal dogmas and practices. And, just like with other apocryphal texts, these Gospels were considered heretical and dangerous, suppressed and forgotten for centuries. However, the discovery of these writings in the 20th century shed new light on the figure of Mary Magdalene and her role in early Christianity. Today, many scholars and spiritual seekers study these texts, searching for clues to a broader, more inclusive understanding of the Christian faith. For some, Mary Magdalene represents the lost face of Christianity, a more balanced spirituality that values both the feminine and the masculine, both the external and the internal. And so, the apocryphal Gospels of Mary Magdalene remain a window into an almost forgotten spiritual tradition, a tradition that may, perhaps, teach us something new about faith, power, and the search for truth. But in the end, maybe the real question isn't why these texts were excluded, but what they can reveal to us today. Do they carry teachings that the modern world is finally ready to hear? And so, as we delve deeper into the hidden mysteries of history, we arrive at one of the greatest enigmas of all time, the lost city of Atlantis. Unlike sacred texts and relics, Atlantis exists at the boundary between myth and reality, a civilization so advanced and powerful that, according to legend, it was destroyed in a single day and night of catastrophe. The first mention of Atlantis comes from Plato, the famous Greek philosopher, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias. Plato describes Atlantis as a vast island located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar. This island housed a grand civilization, rich in knowledge, technology, and culture. However, according to Plato, the Atlanteans became arrogant and disrespectful toward the gods, leading to their destruction. For centuries, scholars, explorers, and dreamers have searched for evidence of Atlantis' existence. Was it merely a myth created by Plato to illustrate the downfall of societies corrupted by power? Or is there some truth to this story? Theories about the location of Atlantis range from Santorini, a Greek island devastated by a massive volcanic eruption, to the coast of Spain, where submerged structures have been found in the Atlantic Ocean. Some believe Atlantis could be hidden deep in the Caribbean or even beneath the ice of Antarctica. But what makes Atlantis so intriguing isn't just its supposed disappearance, but what it represented. The Atlantean civilization, as described by Plato, was far ahead of its time. Imagine a city where advanced engineering enabled grand constructions, where agriculture was developed in innovative ways, and where esoteric and spiritual knowledge was part of daily life. Could it be that Atlantis was the first civilization to reach a level of development that we are only now beginning to understand? Many theorists believe that Atlantis could have been the origin of all the great ancient civilizations. They suggest that after the island's destruction, Atlantean survivors traveled to different parts of the world, bringing with them knowledge of architecture, astronomy, and spirituality that later influenced cultures such as the Egyptians, the Mayans, and the Sumerians. This theory connects Atlantis to mysterious monuments around the world, such as the pyramids of Egypt and Central America, the megaliths of Stonehenge, and even the Nazca lines in Peru. Could these be remnants of a lost civilization, whose teachings and technologies were passed on to other cultures before vanishing into the mists of history? And yet, despite countless expeditions and investigations, Atlantis remains a lost city, an enigma that continues to elude us. Is it possible that the truth about Atlantis has been hidden, erased by natural catastrophes, or even kept secret by those who hold the knowledge? Today, the legend of Atlantis lives on in the collective imagination, inspiring stories, films, and theories. But for some, the search for Atlantis is not just about finding submerged ruins. It's a search for something deeper, for an understanding of how civilizations can rise to greatness and then disappear without a trace. Did Atlantis really exist? Or does it represent a warning about the dangers of excessive power and spiritual disconnection? Perhaps, like many other ancient mysteries, the truth about Atlantis is destined to remain hidden, challenging us to keep searching, not just for a lost city, but for answers about the fate of humanity. And as we travel through myths and legends, we arrive at one of the most enigmatic and coveted texts of ancient Egypt, the Book of Thoth. It is said that this mystical book, attributed to the Egyptian god of wisdom and writing, contains all divine knowledge, from the secrets of creation to control over the forces of life and death. Thoth, in Egyptian mythology, was the god of wisdom, the scribe of the gods, and the one responsible for weighing the souls of the dead on the scales of justice. He was seen as the guardian of hidden knowledge, the one who mastered the magical words capable of influencing the universe. The Book of Thoth, then, would be the embodiment of that power, a text so powerful that, according to legend, anyone who read it would gain dominion over heaven and earth, but at the cost of their own sanity. The legend of the Book of Thoth begins with Pharaoh Neferkapta, who, obsessed with obtaining absolute knowledge, did everything he could to find the book. After much searching, he finally discovered it buried in the depths of the Nile, guarded by serpents and other supernatural dangers. Upon deciphering its words, Neferkapta unlocked the secrets of the universe, but also awakened a terrible curse that led to the destruction of his family and eventually his own downfall. From there, the Book of Thoth disappeared again into history, hidden away in a safe place by those who understood its danger. But the search for it never ceased. Throughout the centuries, alchemists, occultists, and explorers have dedicated themselves to finding the lost text, believing that it holds the key to absolute power or even eternal life. But did the Book of Thoth really exist? Or is it merely a metaphor, a symbol of the secret knowledge that the ancient Egyptians believed was reserved for the gods? The few surviving fragments of texts attributed to Thoth suggest that he was a central figure in the development of magic and philosophy in ancient Egypt. But the true Book of Thoth, if it ever existed, remains shrouded in mystery. Those who believe in the book's existence see it as a kind of holy grail for occultists, a text that, if found, could transform humanity's understanding of the universe. But there are also those who warn of the dangers of seeking something so powerful. They recall the legend of Neferkapta and how absolute knowledge can be a double-edged sword, capable of granting unimaginable power but also of destroying those who dare to touch it. Moreover, the Book of Thoth is deeply tied to the idea that esoteric knowledge must be protected, hidden from those who are not ready to comprehend it. Throughout history, this idea has permeated many mystical and secret traditions, from occult societies to orders of magicians, all guarding their own books of Thoth, filled with secrets they believed could change the world if they fell into the wrong hands. And so, the Book of Thoth remains lost in the mists of time, a relic symbolizing the relentless pursuit of forbidden knowledge. Perhaps it will never be found, or perhaps it is already in the hands of those who know that some truths must remain hidden. But what is certain is that the mystery of the Book of Thoth continues to inspire those who, like Neferkapta, seek something more than common knowledge, the key to the universe itself. So, would you be willing to risk everything to find the Book of Thoth? Or do you believe that some mysteries are best left forgotten, guarded by the shadows that protect them? And so, as we continue forward, we arrive at another story wrapped in mystery and tragedy. The forbidden texts of the Library of Alexandria. Once considered the greatest repository of knowledge in the ancient world, the Library of Alexandria was the beating heart of wisdom and culture, housing hundreds of thousands of scrolls, books, and manuscripts from all corners of the known world. But this greatness came at a price. Over the centuries, the library became a target of power struggles, and the vast knowledge it contained came to be seen as a threat by many. Texts that challenged the established order, that questioned religious beliefs, or that contained hidden knowledge were considered dangerous, and the fate of these writings is one of history's greatest tragedies. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria is shrouded in mystery. There were several occasions when it suffered fires and looting, but the true culprit behind its downfall has never been definitively identified. Some believe it was due to Roman civil wars, while others point to religious conflicts that led to the burning of manuscripts deemed heretical. What we do know is that, at some point, a vast amount of knowledge accumulated over centuries was lost forever. But what about the forbidden texts? It is believed that before the final destruction, some of the library's guardians managed to hide the most valuable and dangerous scrolls. These texts, containing secrets of alchemy, advanced astronomy, esoteric philosophy, and other hidden sciences were taken far away, hidden in secret locations to protect the knowledge from falling into the wrong hands. Many legends speak of these hidden manuscripts, and over the centuries, several scholars and explorers have dedicated themselves to finding them. Some say fragments of these texts have been discovered in remote monasteries, while others claim that secret chambers in Alexandria are still waiting to be found, guarding the last remnants of the library. The importance of these forbidden texts goes beyond the knowledge itself. They represent a chapter of human history that was almost erased, an era when knowledge was seen as something sacred, to be preserved and shared, but also feared. The loss of the Library of Alexandria was not just the destruction of books. It was the loss of an ideal, of a civilization that believed knowledge was the key to progress and enlightenment. Today, many of the mysteries that could have been unveiled through those texts remain hidden, and the questions they raise continue to echo. What exactly was lost in that fire? What secrets were contained in those scrolls? And more importantly, where are they now? Some say that the lost knowledge of the Library of Alexandria was transferred to secret orders, occult societies that, over the centuries, have protected these forbidden texts, waiting for the right moment to reveal what they know. Others believe that this knowledge was absorbed by other cultures, slowly integrating into the world through other traditions and belief systems. But at its core, what remains is the mystery, the void left by one of the greatest intellectual tragedies in human history. And so, the Library of Alexandria and its forbidden texts continue to be a reminder of what was and what could have been. Now, the question for you is, if these texts still exist, is the world ready for the knowledge they contain? Or do you believe, as some do, that certain secrets should remain hidden, protected from those who are not yet prepared to understand them? And as we continue this journey through ancient mysteries, we come to the final piece of this puzzle, the secrets of the Knights Templar, a military and religious order that, at the height of its power, held immense wealth, influence, and knowledge, but whose sudden and brutal fall left a trail of mystery and legends that persist to this day. The Knights Templar were founded in the 12th century to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. Quickly, however, they became much more than simple protectors. With the support of the Church and the nobility of Europe, the order grew, amassing unimaginable wealth and, more importantly, access to secrets that were beyond the reach of any other group of the time. It is said that during their excavations in the holy sites of Jerusalem, the Templars discovered ancient relics and texts, possibly even the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or other lost artifacts of biblical history. Some believe they also acquired esoteric knowledge, secret teachings that trace back to the mystical traditions of ancient Egypt and the Kabbalah. These secrets, they say, were the true source of the Templars' power, not their swords or wealth, but the hidden knowledge they kept in silence. And it is precisely this knowledge that may have sealed their fate. In the early 14th century, King Philip IV of France, indebted to the Templars and fearing their growing power, conspired with Pope Clement V to bring down the order. On Friday, October 13, 1307, the Knights Templar were arrested across France, accused of heresy, idolatry, and other crimes. Many were tortured and burned at the stake, including their last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay. But even as the order crumbled, the secrets of the Templars remained intact. Before their capture, some knights managed to escape, taking with them precious relics and documents. It is said that part of the Templars' treasure was hidden in secret locations around the world, from caves in the mountains of Europe to remote places in the Americas. But what happened to these secrets? Where are the Templars' hidden treasures and knowledge now? Some theories suggest that the Templars dissolved into other secret societies, such as the Freemasons, who continued to protect these teachings over the centuries. Other legends speak of underground temples where these relics are still kept, waiting to be discovered. What we do know is that even after the fall of the order, the legacy of the Templars continued to influence the world. Their symbols, their history, and above all, the mysteries they carried have fueled centuries of speculation and intrigue. But, like all great mysteries, we may never know the full truth. The secrets of the Knights Templar remain hidden, protected by layers of time and history, left for those with the courage and determination to seek what was lost. And now, the question that remains is If you had the chance to uncover these secrets, would you do it? Would you be willing to unravel the mysteries that the Knights Templar protected with their lives? Or do you believe that some knowledge, like in the past, is destined to remain in the shadows, away from the gaze of the curious, guarded by those who understand the true power they contain?